So, good morning, everyone. I've started recording the lecture. So, in yesterday's, let's see, is everything turned off? Give me a second. Okay. So, in yesterday's lecture, we had several definitions, and that can get a bit confusing. So, what I've done is I've made some drawings here just to remind you of the important definitions. Okay. So, each of these drawings is an abstract drawing. I haven't drawn concrete graphs. Um, so what you have is a cycle, and you have two bridges, B1 and B2. And in this drawing here, the two bridges avoid each other. Why do they avoid each other? Because you can find a segment of B1. The segment would be this part. This is a segment of the cycle with respect to the bridge B1. And that segment contains all the vertices of attachment of the second bridge B2. Okay. And intuitively, you can see that if in this case, what is happening is if C union B1 is planar, and if C union B2 is also planar, then C union B1 union B2 will be planar, is planar, and both bridges B1 and B2 may be drawn inside the closed curve C. Does that make sense? Right? So if both of these graphs, just C and B1 is planar and just C and B2 is planar, then because the two bridges avoid each other in this sense, you can draw both of them inside the curve and get a planar embedding of the whole graph, C union B1 union B2. Okay? And when the two bridges do not avoid each other, we will say that they overlap. And there are exactly two situations. So whenever two bridges overlap, you can prove that either the two bridges are skew. So skew means that you have two vertices of attachment of B1 and two of B2, and on the cycle they alternate. So you'll first see a B1 attachment, then you'll see a B2 attachment, then again B1 and B2, right? So that is the case we say that the bridges are skew. And another possibility when the two bridges overlap each other is when they are equivalent three bridges. So they have exactly three vertices of attachment and they both have exactly the same three, right? And in this case, we say that they are equivalent three bridges. And the proposition I stated at the end of the last lecture is that whenever two bridges overlap, which means they do not avoid each other, then either they are skew or they are equivalent three bridges, right? And I said at the end of the lecture that I will prove it today, and you should try to prove it on your own. I'm going to change my mind. This is going to be on the type notes. I'm not going to prove it because it's not that crucial. I would rather spend time on intuition for the algorithm. So the proof is on the type notes, which I will put out today or tomorrow. And you should also try proving it on your own. Remember, this is either or. It could also be both. The bridges could be skew. No, they can't be both, sorry, because equivalent three bridges cannot be skew. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Yeah. Exactly one of these two holds. Okay. Are there any questions? I'm not proving it, but it's going to be on the type notes and it's not a difficult proof. Okay. But hopefully the content of the proposition is clear. Right? And the intuitive geometric intuition behind is when two bridges avoid each other, you can draw both of them inside the curve, inside the closed curve, right? And when they overlap, you will have to draw one inside and you will have to draw one outside, like in these two drawings here. Okay? If you want to get a planar drawing. All right. Okay. So now let me ask you a question. So I want to tell you the algorithm for planarity, but I want to start the algorithm by an example. Okay? And I want all of you to think about how you would draw the graph in a planar fashion. Or if you cannot, then explain to me why you cannot. Okay? So here is a graph that I took from Bondi Murthy, 1976. Okay. And the other edges are, let's see, one goes to 3, one goes to 4, one goes to 5, 2 goes to 6 and 7, 3 goes to 1 and 7, 4 goes to 8, 1 goes to, okay, and 6 goes to 8, and 5 goes to 8. Okay. So that's the graph. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a particular cycle. Can everybody see this drawing?
Yes.
Thank you. So I want to look at a particular cycle. 1, 2, 3, then to 7 to 6 to 5 to 1. And I want you all to redraw this graph in your notebooks or whatever you have around you. And I want someone to tell me how many bridges there are. Okay. In the meanwhile, I'm going to draw this cycle. This cycle has to be a closed curve. So I'm just going to draw it like this. This is a cycle 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 7, 6, 5, 1. Okay. So how many bridges do we have? And let me see if I can make a copy of this quickly. Yep, that should work. Okay. So somebody can tell me how many bridges there are. In the meanwhile, I'm going to make some copies of this.
So can you show us the original graph once again?
Oh yes, sorry. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to show it to you. Okay, this is the original graph. Okay. So I've made a few copies of the cycle, and I want someone to tell me one bridge. Can someone tell me what is a particular bridge of this graph, of this cycle?
1 3.
What are the simplest bridges in this cycle?
1 3 would be
1 3. Okay, let's put 1 3. Can someone else tell me another bridge of this cycle?
6 2.
6 2. 6 and 2. Okay, let's draw that. Can someone else point me to another bridge?
There's a bridge with the vertices 4 and 8.
Bridge with vertices 4 and 8. Okay, I'm going to put that here. 4 and 8. Where does 4 connect?
So 4 connects to 1, 2, 3.
1
And
2
8
3.
connects to 5, 6, 7.
Oh, okay, good, good. So let me put it differently then. Let me draw it inside. 4 connects to 1, 2, and 3, and 4 and 8 are connected, and 8 connects to
Sir, does
5,
4
6.
connect to 2 here?
Sorry?
4 should be 3, 5, and I don't think 4 should
Yeah.
be 3, 5, and 1.
4 should be 1, 3, 8, and 5. Yeah, 1, 3, 5. Okay, sorry. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, yeah. That's
So 4 is 1, 3, and 5. Okay. And 8 goes to
5 6 7.
8 goes to 5, 6, 7. Okay. And there is another bridge, right? There is one more bridge. Does anybody see it?
2 7.
2 and 7.
2 and 7. Okay, thank you. Okay. So what I've done here is we have got 4 bridges, and I've drawn the cycle with each of the bridges. C union B1, C union B2, C union B3, and C union B4. Okay? And I want to see if I can somehow combine these drawings to get a planar drawing of the whole graph. Is the idea clear? So which bridges can go into the same side of the cycle? That is the question. Which bridges? Remember, the inside and outside, these are the same things, right? So if you can draw a bridge inside, then you can also put the same bridge outside, so long as you don't put in the other bridges.
B1, B4 can go in and B2, B3 can go out.
Okay, let's look at that. Bridges can, let's see. Let me just ask the direct question. Which bridges avoid each other? So did you say B1 and?
B4.
B1 and B4. So B1 is 1, 3. And B4 is this last guy here, right? This bigger bridge with 2 vertices and 7 edges. So why do they avoid each other? Because you could just draw B1 inside here, right? You can just put B1 inside here, right? So you can get a drawing of C union B1 union B4, and you can still keep it planar because they avoid each other. Good. And what about B2 and B3? They also avoid each other because you can just put B2 here, right? And now you have C union B3 union B2, right? And in this case, you have drawn everything inside. In this case, you have drawn everything inside again, but that's okay. You can easily just switch that. So now we can combine these two and get a drawing of the whole thing, which is planar, right? Let me just copy paste. Okay, fine. I'll copy this. Okay. Good. And let me erase some unnecessary things. Right. So we took the first drawing, C union B4 union B1. And now we are going to combine with it 2, 6 and 2, 7. But rather than drawing them inside, we can just put them outside, because inside and outside is really not different. Okay? And so now you have a planar drawing of the whole graph. Okay? Good. So what happened here? What exactly happened? Why were we able to succeed in able to get a planar drawing of the whole graph? I mean, can we just always do that and get a planar drawing of every graph? So for example, my question, to be more precise, is supposing, let me see, how do I want to phrase this? So I have a question. Let's say I have a cycle C of a connected graph. Let's just assume all graphs are two connected, doesn't matter. Of a two connected graph G. And let's say B1, B2, blah, 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 up to BR are the bridges of the cycle, right? So in this example, we had 4 bridges. Supposing I know, suppose that C union BI is planar for all I in 1 up to R. Supposing you know that whenever you take one of the R bridges along with the cycle, the graph is planar, right? Then, is it necessary that G is also planar? If you can draw each bridge with the cycle and get a planar graph, just the cycle and that bridge, like in these 4 drawings that we had made, I changed the drawing slightly, but that's okay, you get the point. If all of these graphs, if all of these drawings, the cycle and one bridge is planar, does it necessarily mean that you can put all the bridges and now get a planar drawing of the whole graph?
No, I think here if you have an edge between 3 and 6, it fails.
If you have an edge between 3 and 6, then the graph is no longer planar. And why is that happening? Why is that happening? So let me just draw this edge you're saying and then get back to you. So what you're saying is, if I put the edge between 3 and 6, let me put it in this drawing, and let me also put it in this drawing. You are saying that with this edge 3, 6, the graph is actually not planar. Is that right?
Yeah.
Why is this happening?
It fails the condition that, that segmented part, I mean, it goes across 2 segments.
Right.
In both inside and outside, like however you put it.
Right. So let's write this down. Okay. So B1 and B4, we know avoid each other. And we also know that B2 and B3 avoid each other. Sorry, you're saying something?
Yes, sir. So can we directly do this, sir? We get all the bridges of a graph corresponding to a particular cycle, and then we check the overlaps between all the pairs, and there shouldn't be like 3 or more overlapping bridges at a point of time.
I like this. I like this. You are going on the right track. Right. So, okay. So what you want to do is you want to take all the bridges of the graph, right? And you want to make sure that 3 are not mutually overlapping. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. 3 or more are not mutually overlapping.
3 or more are not mutually overlapping.
If there are 2 overlaps, you can put one on the inside, one on the outside, and you're done, right?
This is good. I like this. Okay. So this is exactly explaining what happened in the case of putting the next bridge, right? So if there is a 5th bridge, 3, 6, then what is happening is 3, 6 is overlapping with both one of B1 and B4. I think it's overlapping with B3.
B3 and B.
Right. So what is happening is B5 is overlapping with B3, and B5 is also overlapping with, if you look at this drawing here, it is also overlapping with B4. B5 overlaps with B4, right? And what about B3 and B4? Are they overlapping? Let me remind you what B3 is. B3 is the edge 27. And B4 is drawn here. So B3 and B4 are also overlapping. Does everybody see that? B3 and B4 are also overlapping. Right? So what is happening is B3, B4, B5, they are overlapping with each other. So the drawing looks like this. If I were to make a graph out of my bridges, okay? So now each bridge is represented by a vertex. B3 and B4 overlap, so I put an edge between them. B3 and B5 overlap, so I put an edge between them. And B4 and B5 overlap, I put an edge between them. Okay? So this seems to be a problem. But is it necessary for all bridges to be mutually overlapping? What if I have 5 bridges? What if my graph has 5 bridges? So let me draw K5 for you, K5, okay? So now I'm going to make a drawing of K5. Okay, this is my cycle. And now there are 5 bridges. Each edge is a bridge. This is one bridge. This is another bridge. This is yet another bridge. This is yet another bridge. And this is the last one. I know this discussion is a bit vague, but there is a reason. I want you all to be slightly confused and scratching your heads until we find the right answer. So now we have 5 bridges. This is a cycle, and there are 5 bridges: B1, B2, B3, B4, B5. Clearly, if you take the cycle and any one bridge, you will get a planar drawing, right? It's obvious. It's one cycle plus one edge. That's planar. But the whole graph is not planar because it's K5. How do you explain the non-planarity of K5 using the discussion that we are having right now? Somebody has written a text chat box. Okay, let me check. Okay, no, that's fine. Okay. How do you explain the non-planarity of K5 using the discussion we are just having?
So, hello.
Anand, yes.
We can think of like an equivalence relation between the bridges, where two
Okay.
bridges are related if they can be simultaneously embedded in a plane, like with either inside or both outside.
Right, which is the whole concept behind avoiding and overlapping, right?
So
Okay.
if you are able to successfully form an equivalence relation that partitions the entire set of bridges into 2 sets exactly,
Yes,
then
yes,
it's
2
possible.
sets. Okay.
Then it's possible.
Right. You are exactly on the right track. What does it mean? What in graph theory are you reminded of when you think of partitioning something into 2 sets?
Bipartite graphs.
Bipartite graphs. Thank you. The bridge overlap graph, which we are going to define now, has to be bipartite. So the answer to this question is, without having all the definitions here, the answer is that the bridge overlap graph, which we need to define, must be bipartite. See, what's happening is whenever 2 bridges overlap, one goes inside and another one goes outside, right? Which means you should be able to split all the bridges into 2 parts so that whenever they overlap, they belong to the different parts, right? And using this, now you can construct a graph. You can construct another graph from your graph. This is going to be called the bridge overlap graph. Okay? So let's see, how do we do this? Okay. Okay, so let me just write down the formal definition and then give you some examples. Let C denote a cycle of a connected graph. You can assume two connected if you like, doesn't matter. The bridge overlap graph with respect to cycle C. So we actually will need all of this in our notation, denoted as script B G comma C, right? So you have a graph, you have a cycle, and now you are going to make a graph called the bridge overlap graph with respect to this graph and the cycle. Okay? This is a graph whose vertex set is the set of all bridges. So each bridge will become a vertex in your new graph of the cycle, and edge set is defined as follows. Two bridges, well, two vertices are adjacent if and only if the corresponding bridges overlap. Corresponding bridges overlap. Okay, so let me go back to our original example and show you the bridge overlap graph for that example. Okay, and I will have to make some edits here because I made a mess here. So okay, let's see. B3 is the bridge 27. So let me keep 27. So this is C union B3. I have erased the unnecessary parts. And B4, let's see how to do this. Okay. Okay, good. This is a good enough drawing. There are some dots, but I won't worry. So you have B1, B2, B3, and B4. Is that correct? Okay. So what is the bridge overlap graph with respect to the given cycle, which is the cycle in red color, and the graph which we looked at in the beginning? So let us draw the bridge overlap graph of this graph with respect to the cycle. So we have four bridges. B1 and B2, they overlap. Do you agree? Does everybody agree that B1 and B2 overlap? Notice this is B1, 1, 3, and this is B2. And they overlap because 1, 2, 3, and 6 appear in a cyclic order on the cycle. Right? What about B2 and B3? Do they overlap? B2 and B3 actually don't overlap, but B1 and B3 overlap. Notice that 1, 3 and 2, 7. B1 is 1, 3 and B3 is 2, 7. They overlap as well. Okay? And now finally about B4. What does B4 overlap with? Well, B4 does not overlap with B1. Does B4 overlap with B2 and B3? Can anyone tell me if B4
Yes.
overlaps with? Okay, so with both of them, right?
Yes.
So the bridge overlap graph is a bipartite graph. It is C4, the cycle on 4 vertices. And because it is bipartite, you were able to put one part, the bridges on one side, you were able to put them inside, and the bridges on the other side, you are able to put them outside. However, if the graph is non-bipartite, then you will not be able to do this. Right? Basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to color the bridges red and blue. The red bridges go inside, the blue bridges go outside. And when you cannot color the bridges red and blue, you are going to have the bridge overlap graph be non-bipartite. So somehow, very interestingly, non-planarity is connected to non-bipartiteness. And that is actually coming all the way from Jordan curve theorem. A cycle splits the plane into two parts, the inside and the outside. Bipartite. Right? There is some connection between non-planarity and non-bipartiteness, and that is exactly where we are going with this discussion. Is everybody clear with what this bridge overlap graph is? Is there any confusion with regards to what the bridge overlap graph is?
Yes, yes. When we are checking if they overlap or not, then creating the bipartite graph. So the process within that, I'm a little bit confused about that.
You mean the process of creating the bridge overlap graph?
Yes. When we are checking if they overlap or not, and after after that, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so whether two bridges overlap or not, that basically just goes to the definition, right? So what does it mean for two bridges to overlap? Well, two bridges overlap if they don't avoid each other. And what does it mean to avoid each other? It means that the drawing looks like this, that all of the vertices of attachment of one of the bridges are contained in a particular segment with respect to the other bridge. So notice here, all the vertices of attachment of B2, they belong to one segment. Remember, we discussed what a segment is with respect to B1. In this drawing, there are 5 segments. This is one segment. This is a second segment. This is the third segment. This is the fourth one, right? And all of the attachment vertices of B2, they belong to a particular segment, segment number 1, with respect to B1, right? So that is what it means.
So continuous segments are related with one bridges, should not be related with another bridge, right?
I didn't understand that part.
Actually means there are several segments that
I see. Right. So we are looking at segments with respect to a particular bridge. So if you look at B1, you get 4 segments.
Oh, yeah.
So when I'm saying segments, I'm referring to a specific bridge. And what is happening is that with respect to B1 segments, all the vertices of attachment of B2, they belong to exactly one segment of B1.
Right.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Exactly. And when this does not happen, when the two bridges do not avoid each other, we will say that they overlap. And we discussed a proposition that whenever two bridges overlap, there is exactly one of two possibilities. Either they are skew. So skew means you can find 4 vertices of attachment, 2 of B1 and 2 of B2, and they appear in this order in the cycle. First you see a B1, then you see a B2, then you see a B1, and then you see a B2 attachment. Right? So in this case, it is clear that they do not avoid each other. Right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And the other possibility is when they both have exactly 3 vertices of attachment and they are the same 3 vertices. And this is another situation where the two bridges overlap each other. Right? And so checking whether two bridges overlap or avoid is actually quite easy. I won't go into the details of that, but you can think about it on your own and you can actually get a linear time algorithm. So if you know all the vertices of attachment of two bridges, right, then you can check in linear time. You can, if you like, you can use this proposition. Using this proposition, you can check in linear time. Can check in linear time, so order n time, that whether two bridges overlap or they do not. Okay, so this you can do quite easily. You just need to think about these two situations. If you just scan the cycle, you will be able to check this in linear time. Okay, remember, you know all the vertices of attachment of B1 and of B2. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you are able to check this, if you can check whether two bridges overlap or not, then you can construct this graph, the bridge overlap graph. You just make a vertex for each bridge, and now whenever two bridges overlap, you put an edge between them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So all of this can be done in linear time, right? So now we are getting close to an algorithm for planarity. Are there any other questions? Did I answer all of your questions, Shefali?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions regarding the bridge overlap graph? Okay. So I want to write down an algorithm for planarity based on the discussion we had. The algorithm is going to have some gaps, and we are going to fill up those gaps gradually during our discussion. At this point, it is 12:40. I should mention that we are going to go overtime today, perhaps by 20 to 30 minutes, no more than that. And if you have to leave, please go ahead. You can view the lecture online. The reason I want to finish is because this is relevant to the assignment. And after the holidays, October 5th, I want to switch to module 2, which is network flows, flows and cuts. Okay. So today we are going to finish module. Okay, so this is module 2. We are going to start module 3 afterwards. Okay. So we might go overtime by about 20 minutes today. But if you need to leave, please go ahead. Just see the lecture on YouTube later. Are there any questions? Towards an algorithm for planarity testing. So the decision problem is generally called planarity testing. Okay. Let me just say efficient algorithm, and then we will talk about polynomial time later. Okay, so you have a graph. The input is a two-connected graph. Okay. So what we will do is we will find a cycle. Find a cycle C. And if you have a cycle, then you can compute the bridges very easily. Okay, think about it. So find a cycle C and compute all bridges of C. Okay, so let's say the bridges are B1, B2, up to BR. Okay. What are we now going to do? Can anybody give me a hint?
ER decomposition.
ER decompositions. Is that necessary?
For each bridge, find the vertices of attachment.
Okay, let's say we can do that as well. But there is another step we did. Remember when we did our algorithm on this graph?
Oh, we need to see if C union BI is planar.
Exactly. So let us check recursively. It is a recursive algorithm. We are going to check recursively that C union BI is planar. Check recursively whether C union BI is planar. Okay. Well, if any of them is non-planar, then the whole graph is non-planar. Does everybody agree? If any of them, if any of them, so what I mean is C union Bi is non-planar, then G itself is non-planar. Why is this true? Why is this true?
Because this is a subgraph of the entire graph.
Exactly. If any subgraph is non-planar, then the whole graph is non-planar, right? We have already discussed this observation in the last 1 or 2 lectures. Right? And it's quite clear actually. Okay. So that's good. So now suppose, so in this case, you would return false, right? So now when we get to step 4, we know that all of these return true. So if all of the B, so at this point, we know that Bi union C is planar for all I. So for each bridge, the graph you get by taking the bridge and the cycle is planar. Okay? So this is what we know at this step. Now what do we do? Okay. What do we do in step 4?
Draw or construct the bridge overlap graph.
Okay, thank you. Compute the bridge overlap graph. Right? So there's a graph where every bridge of this cycle will become a vertex, and two bridges will be joined by an edge if and only if they overlap. Okay? So we construct this graph, which is easy to construct. It's not difficult. You know all the bridges, you know all the vertices of attachment. Just find out which ones overlap and put an edge between them if they overlap. Okay? Nothing too difficult so far. Computationally, nothing difficult. Okay? Good. Now what do we do? What's the next step? We have the bridge overlap graph. What
Check
should
if
I
it's
do with this
bipartite.
graph? Check if this bridge overlap graph is bipartite. Check if the bridge overlap graph is bipartite. Right? This can be done easily. If we know that the bridge overlap graph is not too big, if we know that it is polynomial in the size of the original graph, then checking whether it's bipartite is also easy. Right? So we do that. If non-bipartite, what do we do if it is non-bipartite? What do we return? True or false?
It's non-planar.
Right. So return false, the graph is non-planar. And what if it is bipartite?
True.
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 Okay, this is it. If the bridge overlap graph is bipartite, then you can make a planar drawing of the whole graph by putting all the bridges on one part, on the left part, inside, and all the bridges on the right part, put them outside. Okay? Done. This is the algorithm. What is the problem with this algorithm?
So shouldn't we also have a base case?
Right.
Like if R is 1, we can just
Okay.
stop it.
Good. We need a base case. What about Anand? What was your concern?
It wouldn't terminate. If there was just one bridge, then it would just keep looking at the same cycle forever.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, so both of you are actually pointing to the same problem, more or less. We need a base case. Or to put it slightly differently, how do we know? How do we know that the smaller graphs, when you do recursion, whenever you do a recursion, the sub-problems have to be smaller than the original problem. If you keep recursing on the original problem, you are not going to go anywhere, right? We need to make sure that these graphs are smaller than the original graph?
Sir, sorry, a doubt here. Instead
Yes.
of testing for planarity of C union BI, can't we just test for BI?
Good point. I would like
No,
you
we
to think
can't.
about it and see what happens. So, Samuel has an answer.
Like, do you
What
want an
do?
example?
Yeah. No. What do you think? What do people think? Can we just check for the bridges, or do we need to include the cycle?
We should include the cycle also.
Think about it. Think about it.
If there is one bridge, then we can do it separately.
Sorry.
If there is just one bridge,
Huh.
then you can check the planarity of the bridge separately.
If it is only one bridge, then that's right. So what I
Even
want
then,
you
I don't
to,
think you can.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, even I thought initially that maybe why are we taking cycle? But for an example of if the cycle is of K3, yeah, and the bridges that we have taken are center and outside, in that case, we need to include the cycle to ensure that it's non-planar.
Uh-huh. Right. So what could happen? What could happen is that CBI could be planar. BI could be planar, but C union BI might be non-planar. Can this happen?
Yeah, this can happen.
This can happen actually. Right? So it is just because a bridge itself is planar. You see, what could happen is, let me give you an example. Let me give you a slightly concrete example. Supposing you have a bridge like this. Supposing this is your bridge. Okay? And this is your cycle. Now, if you just look at the bridge, this is planar. But now what could happen is that some vertices of attachment might be joined to this vertex and some others might be joined to an outside vertex. So what you need is you need to be sure that there is an embedding of the bridge in which all the vertices of attachment, whichever edges go from a vertex of attachment to the bridge, they all have to be on the outside face. So for example, this is a good case. Because all the vertices of attachment, the edges going to the other vertices here, they are all on a common face. But in this example, they are not on a common face. And there is actually no way to redraw this bridge so that all the four vertices that I have marked, they come on a common face. Do you see the problem?
Got it, sir. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, think a little bit more about this. But yeah, this is the. Yeah. So you need to consider the cycle in every whenever you do the recursion. Okay. So right. So what the point we were at is we need to ensure that these graphs, these subgraphs, must be smaller than the original graph.
Sir,
Yes.
if we ensure that in each step we can find a cycle with more than one bridge, then it's guaranteed that we'll get smaller.
Exactly. Exactly. If we ensure that we can find a cycle that has at least two bridges, then for sure the smaller graphs, the subgraphs you are looking at here, they will be smaller than the original, right? The problem is, what if there is exactly one bridge? What if there is exactly one bridge? For example, if you are looking at K5, and if you consider this cycle of K5, then there is actually exactly one bridge. And it looks like this, right? There is exactly one bridge. But remember, we had another drawing of K5. And in this drawing, how many bridges do you have? How many bridges do we have here?
5, right?
5
Each is an
bridges.
edge.
Exactly. So this is good. This is very good for the algorithm. And this is bad. Right? Because when you have 5 bridges or when you have 2 or more bridges, whenever you take just one bridge in the cycle, you will have a smaller graph than the original graph because you threw away some bridges. Right? But if you have just one bridge, you are not throwing away anything. And that brings us to a definition. Problem 2 of your assignment. A cycle C is separating if it has 2 or more bridges. Okay? Is everybody with us so far? Are there any questions why we are having this discussion about separating cycles? No?
So just
Yeah,
one
go ahead.
clarification by
Yes.
what you mean when you call a cycle separating. Is this the definition of a separating cycle?
Yes, this is a separating cycle.
So this is the definition of what a separating cycle is.
Yes, this is the definition of
Okay.
separating cycle.
Okay, sure.
Okay? Otherwise it is non-separating, and in many books they are also called peripheral cycles, but we will be using non-separating and separating. They are also called peripheral cycles. Okay? Good. So now it would be great if we could find a separating cycle, right? We can't just find, there is a problem in this algorithm. We can't just find any cycle. We need a separating cycle. Okay? So let us change that. Let us find a separating cycle. Oops, what happened? Okay. Let us find a separating cycle. What is now the problem? Can we always...
Need not exist.
Right. A separating cycle need not exist. Just because the graph is too connected doesn't mean it has a separating cycle. It has a cycle for sure, but it may not have a separating cycle. So now the burning question is, which graphs do not have separating cycles? Which two connected graphs do not have separating cycles? Can somebody give me a quick example of a two connected graph that does not have a separating cycle? What is the easiest two connected graph that you can think of that does not have a separating cycle? Easiest.
A cycle with
Okay.
like one point in the middle, which is connected to every vertex on the cycle.
So I'm going to, somebody already wrote a correct answer, but I'm going to come back to that in a bit. Let's look at this example first. A cycle with, can you repeat?
Yeah, there's a point in the middle
Okay.
that's connected to all the vertices.
Okay, let's look at this graph. So does this graph have a separating cycle? Can somebody, so does this graph have a separating cycle? I would like to have multiple answers.
Oh yeah, actually it does. Never mind.
It does. It does. Can you give me a separating cycle?
1, 2, 6, 5.
1, 2, 6, 5. 1, 2, 6, 5. Right? This is separating because you have one bridge here and you have another bridge here. Right? So this is not the right answer. But okay, good attempt. What about a second attempt? Give me the simplest graph you can which does not have a separating cycle. Somebody said K4 minus 1 edge. So let me draw that. K4 minus 1 edge. Does this graph have a separating cycle? Someone said it does not. What do other people think?
Does not.
No. No separating cycle. It's not difficult to check. There are only 3 cycles in this graph, and you can check that you will either get you will get always exactly one bridge. Okay. I want a simpler graph that does not have a separating cycle. Come on, the simplest graph.
Just one cycle.
Just one cycle. Thank you. If your graph is just one cycle, then there is no separating cycle. There are 0 bridges for any cycle you pick because there's only one cycle to pick, right? No separating cycle. Okay, so this is good. All the cycles. So all the cycles are an example of graphs that do not have a separating cycle. So one possibility is cycles. But now what about this possibility? Can we generalize this? Can somebody see how you can generalize this? A cycle with one chord. Thank you. A cycle with one chord. So you take any cycle and put one chord. Can you generalize this further? A step
Any
further.
subdivision of this.
Any subdivision of this. Okay, fantastic. Take any subdivision of this guy. Good. This is it. This is the answer. So, to make it more precise, I'm going to use a multi-graph today. This graph, this multi-graph is called the theta graph. I think in the assignment, I use the notation theta graph because it looks like theta. Okay? This is a multi-graph, but you can take any subdivision of this and you will start getting simple graphs very quickly. So the answer to the question that we discussed is exactly cycles and subdivisions of the theta graph. Okay? And you will be proving this on the assignment, question number 2, if I am not mistaken. Okay? So every 2 connected graph has a separating cycle unless the whole graph is a cycle or it is a subdivision of the theta graph. Okay? I hope that by looking at this drawing, you are convinced that there is no separating cycle in this graph. Okay? Are there any questions? No? So how do we modify the algorithm? How shall we modify the algorithm? Let us put a step 0. What is step 0?
Check if it is a cycle or a subdivision of theta graph.
Great. So check if G is a cycle or a subdivision of theta. In this case, what should I return? If yes, what should we do?
Planar.
If yes, then the graph is planar. If yes, return true. The graph is planar. Otherwise, proceed further. Find a separating cycle, which you know exists because the graph is not cycle or subdivision of theta. So if you find a separating cycle, you compute all the bridges. Then you have at least 2 bridges because the cycle is separating. And so now all of the problems you will get, they will be smaller problems. Recursively solve all of these problems, get the planar embeddings. So one thing that I'm not talking about in this algorithm is how to construct the embedding. I am not going to go into this because this is going to be a lot of geometry related discussion, a lot of topology related discussion, right? But if you have a small enough graph on pen and paper, on a paper, you can just do it by yourself. If you want to implement it, you need to go into the embedding related details, and I don't want to go into that, right? So in this particular discussion, I have ignored the certificates. Okay, so the algorithm just returns true or false. In the type notes, I have also included certificates, but I have not explained how to compute the new planar embedding. Okay, but you can do it. It's just implementation details. You can take smaller graphs, you can take the planar embeddings and construct a planar embedding of the bigger graph. Okay. But when we discuss in the assignment, we are going to ignore the certificate details. We are just going to assume that the algorithm returns true or false. Okay. But if you want, you can include the certificate and you can do everything in polynomial time. Okay. Good. All right. So this is a polynomial time algorithm. And part of that you will be proving on the assignment, problem number 3 or 4. In fact, it is no longer 2 words. We already have the algorithm. All right. What do I want to say? I want to say a few words for how big the bridge overlap graph can be. Can anybody tell me how big this graph can be? If your original graph has n vertices and m edges, how big can the bridge overlap graph be in the worst case?
Each bridge has to have at least one edge, so at most 10 bridges.
Exactly. So in the worst case, every single edge of the graph, except the edges on the cycle, which is a small number, every edge of the graph can become a vertex of the bridge overlap graph because it could be a single bridge, right? So in the worst case, you could have order m. In the worst case, you could have order m edges in the bridge overlap graph. Can you give me a quick example where this happens? Can somebody give me a quick example of a graph and a cycle where basically every single edge becomes a chord of the cycle? We already looked at one example. What is
Any
it?
fully connected graph.
Fully connected. I think you mean a complete graph,
Oh, yes.
right? So K5 is an example. You take any complete graph, K100, take 100 cycle, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 100. And now all the edges which are not on this cycle, they become a bridge of the cycle. So roughly, there is an order m number of bridges. Of course, the cycle edges are not there, but that's just a small constant number, right? So that's one example. And so checking things for each iteration. So if you look at a particular recursion, if you look at a particular recursive call of this algorithm, how long does that take? How long would that take? How long does it take to check whether the graph is bipartite or not bipartite?
That should be like order of the number of vertices or plus edges in the bridge overlap graph.
Right, exactly. And so you can check this particular step, whether the bridge overlap graph is bipartite or not, can be checked in order m time as well. Is that right?
I mean, we need to know the bound and the number of edges in the bridge connected graph. So.
Right, that's right. So does it become order m or does it become order m square? Oh, but there is a good point. Order m, remember, is order n. Right?
We don't know
planar graph,
but we don't know what's planar.
Right. So we are going to put one more step. Step -1. We are going to put one more step. Step -1 of this algorithm. Check if the number of edges of the graph is less than equal to 3n minus 6. Okay. And if not, return false. You agree?
Yeah.
The input is a simple connected graph, right? We have to assume that the graph is simple. That doesn't matter really. Two connected simple graph, right? Okay. So now we know, once we get to this step, this can be checked quickly. Once we get to this step, we already know that the algorithm, for this algorithm, order m is the same as order n, right? And so the bridge overlap graph has order n, this is order m again, right? And now we can check whether it is bipartite in order n square time, because the bridge overlap graph will have at most n square edges, which is the same as m square, right? So every recursive call in this algorithm runs in order n square time. The big question is, how many recursive calls are there? And this you will be answering on the assignment. Okay? So
Wait, the
Yes.
bipartite checking is not the recursive call, right? The recursive
right,
call
that
is
is
B
happening
union
inside the call.
E.
In each call, we are checking whether the graph is bipartite, except at the leaf
Yeah.
vertices, except the leaf recursion calls,
Yeah.
right? So each call of the recursive algorithm executes in order n square time, which is the same as order m square, if you like, right? And now the big question is, how many recursive calls are there? So what you can do is, whenever you have a recursive algorithm, you can make a tree, right? Your original call, it will make some recursive calls. It will make some more recursive calls, and so on and so forth. So the question is, how big can this tree be? How many nodes or vertices in the recursion tree? And this you will be answering on assignment 1. Okay? All right. So are there any questions about the algorithm? I think we are mostly done with everything I wanted to cover for plenarity. So yeah, I think the lecture is officially over, although we went over time. And I will be staying here for another 10-20 minutes to answer any questions.
Sir, regarding the logistic question,
Yeah.
there's a break from 1 to 5 as per the dean email, right?
Right.
So, will you consider shifting the assignment deadline accordingly, like at least 2-3 days or something? Just so that we have a break as a break.
Right. Okay. Yeah. How many people would like to have a break? Can you just type in the chat box? How many people would like to have the assignment deadline extended from 5th October to, let's say, 8th October? Okay. So I see at least 2 or 3 people so far. Okay. All right. I will tell you a caveat. I am willing to do it. There is one caveat. We will be starting module 3. And so if we extend the deadline, the gap between the first and the second assignment might be shorter than I wanted it to be. Right? So we might have a shorter gap between the first and the second assignment than the original plan. Remember, we are going to have 4 assignments on this course.
you release it as the date you planned it to, right? That's what you're saying, right? You want
Right. That's
yeah,
right.
that's okay, I guess.
Okay, so yeah, so given that, I mean, I also got the email and I was also thinking about this. I was just waiting to see if anybody has any requests of this sort. Okay, so I will extend the deadline by 2 to 3 days. Is that good enough, or would you like more?
No, that's enough.
It's fine, I guess.
How much?
It's fine.
It's fine. Okay, so I will put an announcement. I will extend it by 2 to 3 days, perhaps not more than that. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
I have a doubt.
Yes.
So actually, I'm now confused about what is separating cycle here.
Okay. Okay. So a separating cycle is a cycle which has at least two bridges. So if you look at these graphs that are drawn here, right? Let's look at this graph here. How many cycles do you see in this graph, Shefali? How many different cycles do you see in this graph?
So this is one cycle. If I connect this subdivision, then it could be two cycles.
Is it two or is it more than two? Take a close look at the graph and let me know how many cycles in total do you see. If you want, you can make a drawing and find out all the cycles.
In total, it will be three, right?
Okay.
So one,
cycles.
two
C1,
divisions,
C2,
then
C3.
the total.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
For each cycle, how many bridges are there? Supposing you look at C1, how many bridges are there for C1?
No bridges.
Are you
No
sure about
bridges.
that? Are you sure about that?
Yeah, for C1 it will
So if this is the cycle C1, how many bridges are there? Remember, there are two types of bridges. One type of bridge is an edge that joins two vertices on a cycle, right?
Yeah.
Another type of bridge is when you delete the vertices of the cycle, you get a component. And that component with all the edges joining the component to the cycle is another bridge.
Yeah,
How
in
many
that
bridges are
way,
there?
in that the second one, in that way there is no bridges, right? But
Okay.
If we consider this first statement you said about bridge, means a bridge have two components of the as the vertices, right, of the cycle. So in that way, every edge will be a bridge.
Are you sure? So let's see. Type 1. So the first type of bridge is an edge of G that has both ends in the vertices of C. Is there any edge like this in the graph? Do you see any edge here which has both ends on this cycle? C1. So look, this would be an edge like that, right? But we don't have any edge like that. Do you see any edge like that?
No, in that way there is no.
Okay.
edge,
Now the
right?
second type of bridge is, look at the graph after deleting the vertices of the cycle. What do you get in this case?
Also in that case, okay. From the total graph, if we remove C1, then there will be C2.
Can you tell me exactly what is the component?
Means,
What are the vertices?
1, 2, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Will one be there? Will one be there?
No, if I remove that, then it will.
Right. So this will be your component, right? And now you will take all the edges joining the component to the cycle. And so now 1 and 7 will be included.
Yeah.
Do you agree? So this is a
Yes.
bridge. So this entire part from 1 up to 7 is a bridge, because from 2 to 6 is a path, which is a component after deleting the vertices of the cycle. And then you take all the edges joining the component to the cycle. And so
Okay.
you'll get the whole path from 1 to 7 as your bridge.
Okay.
So there is exactly one bridge for this cycle.
Same for C2 also.
Same for C2. One bridge. What about the outside cycle C3?
Outside cycle C3 will have the bridge 1 to 7, the middle one.
Oh, middle one, right. So I did not label them 13, 14, 15. So it will have 1, 13, 14, 15, 17, the whole path.
Yes.
Right. So C3 also has one bridge. So these cycles are not separating, because for each cycle there is exactly 1 or 0 bridges. In our case, it is exactly 1 in this example.
Okay.
Right? What about this graph? What about this graph? How many bridges does this cycle have?
0.
0. So this is also not a separating cycle. So a separating cycle is when you have at least 2 or more than 2, right? So at least 2 bridges.
Yeah.
Right? Why do we need this? Why do we need a separating cycle? Why do we need a separating cycle in the algorithm? Why do we need a separating cycle? The answer is actually on the page. It's written somewhere. Anyone? Why do we need a separating cycle? Shefali, Dev, Amit.
Otherwise, it will go into recursion, right?
Right. We need this. We need these graphs to be smaller.
Yeah.
Right. So if we had exactly one bridge, then the cycle plus the bridge will just be the original graph. So there is no point of doing recursion. Whenever we do recursion, we must get smaller subproblems. And so when we have 2 bridges, then these graphs will be smaller than the original graph. Do you see that, Shefali?
Yeah, now I understand.
Okay. So this is why we need a separating cycle. Otherwise, the C union B will be the same as the original graph.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Now clear it is.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, if there are no more questions, then feel free to leave the meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good vacation. Have a good break.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, Amit? Amit, are you here? Okay, I shall stop. Okay, thanks. So you may also leave the meeting and I'll stop recording.